local news that matters. This is CBS 17 News.
With COVID-19 surging, what's it like inside our local ERs? Hear from a local woman who spent her day in one trying to get care.
We are heading into week 2 of the high school football season, but what adjustments are schools making to keep student athletes safe?
Outdoor lunch will now be possible at every school in Durham. Coming up, we'll tell you how many picnic tables the district is ordering and when you can expect to see them in your child's school.
And now, your forecast first from the CBS 17 Storm Team.
We have made it to the end of the work and school week, but we have not made it to the end of our hot stretch of weather. Good evening. Thanks for watching CBS 17. I'm Wes Hohenstein. So another muggy start Friday morning. Temperatures will start off in the low 70s. No changes there from what we've had already this week. Lunchtime, again, we're around 90 degrees. The heat index well into the 90s, but tomorrow will be another dry day. That's not going to change for a few days either. We do have changes tonight in our newest tropical storm. Ida is moving through the Caribbean, headed for the Gulf. Coming up, I'll show you the latest track, and I'll tell you how we could see some indirect effects from this system next week. All that's less than 15 minutes away.
Now, breaking news from CBS 17 News.
We will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
Strong words tonight from President Joe Biden after Islamic extremists attack and kill Americans in Afghanistan. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Angela Taylor.
And I'm Rod Carter. The president vows to go after the terrorists who carried out today's deadly attack in Afghanistan.
The attack is one of the highest single-day American death tolls in the 20-year war. Skylar Henry has more from Washington tonight.
President Biden vowed retribution against ISIS-K for the Kabul airport attack that killed more than a dozen U.S. troops and scores of Afghan civilians.
We will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
The terror group ISIS-K claimed responsibility, posting a picture of the alleged suicide bomber.
I've also ordered my commanders to develop operational plans to strike ISIS-K assets, leadership, and facilities.
Despite the terror, President Biden said the evacuation of Americans and Afghan allies is pressing ahead.
We will not be deterred by terrorists. We will not let them stop our mission. We will continue the evacuation.
Thursday's carnage at the airport and a nearby hotel came just 5 days before U.S. troops were set to pull out of Afghanistan entirely. General Frank McKenzie, who's overseeing the Afghanistan evacuation effort, says U.S. forces remain on high alert.
We assess the threat of a suicide-borne vehicle threat is high right now.
President Biden called the fallen service members heroes, and at the White House, the flag was lowered to half staff in their honor.
We have some sense, like many of you do, what the families of these brave heroes are feeling today.
Republicans blame the casualties on the commander-in-chief's withdrawal plan. GOP Senate Leader Mitch McConnell wrote, "This murderous attack offers the clearest possible reminder that terrorists will not stop fighting the United States just because our politicians grow tired of fighting them." Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
U.S. Senator Tom Tillis is reacting to the events in Kabul today. He says that the terrorist attacks in Kabul are horrific and jeopardize our efforts to evacuate American citizens and our Afghan friends and allies. The senator says his office is helping evacuate Afghans, and local vets we talked to today tell us they are absolutely heartbroken today.
We're praying for our troops. God bless them. We're praying for their families. We're praying for a swift outcome, which we probably won't get, but hopefully not a major loss of life. That's about all I can say.
And tonight, the Pentagon says thousands of evacuees are still being processed at Kabul's international airport.
Afghans living in the Triangle say they're horrified by what they're seeing. 18-year-old Milad Ghaznavi arrived here in January. He said his father left Afghanistan after being threatened by the Taliban. He and his mother followed years later. He's now in high school and wants to encourage other recent Afghan transplants to seek an education once arriving in the U.S.
So my message for the teenager who is coming from Afghanistan and the United States is to educate and make Afghanistan proud.
So far, U.S. State Department data shows 44 Afghans have come to North Carolina on special immigrant visas since last October. And you can get the latest updates from Afghanistan sent straight to your phone. Sign up for breaking news alerts using the CBS 17 News app. You can also find updates anytime on CBS17.com.
There are more than 8,500 new cases of COVID-19 today in North Carolina.
That is the highest single-day total in almost 7 months. And tonight, more than 3,500 people are in the hospital because of COVID. That's the highest total we've seen since January 21st.
And we've told you our hospitals are reaching capacity, and it is impacting staff and patients. New at 11, CBS 17's Amy Cutler is live tonight for us. And Amy, you had the chance to talk to a woman today who says she waited for hours in essentially what's a converted storage room.
Yeah, that's right, Rod. And unfortunately, that's the situation that we're hearing in many of our local ERs. I spoke with this woman. She was in a car accident on Sunday. She tried to do the best she could. She went to an urgent care on Monday. But on Wednesday, she woke up. She had a lot of pain, so she went to an ER, and that's where she spent most of her day.
It felt very chaotic.
Leora Engel-Smith is a health reporter. She spent much of the last year and a half covering the impact of COVID-19. But seeing it firsthand left an impression.
It looked like staff was running around. They were very, very busy. There were beds in the hallway. You know, I was sitting in a storage room that they converted into a room.
Engel-Smith says hospital staff at WakeMed Cary seemed exhausted, rushing from one patient to the next, and the waves of people kept coming.
Everywhere you turned, there was a patient. And if there wasn't a patient there, somebody was thinking about maybe can we put a patient there.
She took to Twitter to document her experiences, reminding people that this doesn't just affect those with COVID, but anyone having an emergency requiring medical attention.
It's a domino effect.
Wake County EMS says an ambulance can't just drop a patient off at the hospital. Paramedics and EMTs have to wait until a bed is free. The process usually takes about an hour. More recently, that time has tripled.
When they're really busy and they have absolutely zero staff, they will go on what's called diversion, and they're basically closed to ambulances. That affects us because we may have to drive further to drop a patient off.
They're clearly overextended.
Yeah, and overextended is a good word for it. Now, Wake County EMS is stressing tonight that they triage calls, meaning that if you are suffering a more serious medical event, say a stroke or heart attack, that is where the ambulance will go first. Live in Raleigh, Amy Cutler, CBS 17 News.
Amy, thank you. And digging deeper now, we know that both Wake and Durham counties are facing a shortage of EMTs. Durham County is down almost 31 positions, and Wake County is down about 20. That means they have fewer workers available to drive ambulances and to respond to emergencies. So if a county does not have an ambulance readily available, other counties can step in to help. However, since most counties are experiencing the same staff shortages and those issues, there are times when calls just have to wait.
Help is coming, but for those who are calling with a lower priority issue, may not get there as quickly as what they would like.
Both Wake County and Durham County say that they're currently training more EMT workers who will hit the streets in the coming months. New at 11, Governor Roy Cooper says that he would support the University of North Carolina system requiring all students to be vaccinated. We did catch up with the governor today in Carborough.
I would support the university mandating the vaccine. What they've done at this point is required verification of vaccine and then testing if you don't get it. A lot of universities across the country are doing this, and I would support that decision if the university were to require it.
Previously, UNC leaders did say that it would be difficult to implement a vaccine requirement system-wide. They said that because it's a state entity, it didn't have the authority, the legal authority to require vaccines that had not been fully approved by the FDA.
During the first week of high school football, the weather and Delta variant caused games to be canceled or rescheduled. And tomorrow night, teams in Central North Carolina will try again. New at 11, CBS 17's Nick Sturdivant live in Raleigh. And Nick, you talked to several school districts about what they're doing to keep students safe and on and off the field.
Yeah, that's right, Angela. And for the most part, they felt like week one went well. Now, athletic director I spoke with in Chatham County told me that his school is taking things day by day at this point. While we are only heading into the second week of high school football, the game of inches has also required schools to be flexible.
Everyone in the state, all these athletic directors in the state and coaches, we're all working together. I've seen the emails, I don't know if you've seen them, where people are looking for games and tweets. We're all helping each other out.
Cameron Vernon is the co-athletic director at Northwood High School in Chatham County.
He says across the board, football and every other fall sport has been going well. He's continuing to preach to students and families to wear a mask indoors and social distance outside. Also,
we want to keep kids in the classroom, keep kids playing on the field, and the best way right now is either get vaccinated if the kids are able to, or keep that mask on.
I reached out to other school districts to find out what adjustments they are making moving forward as far as games. Durham Public Schools says it doesn't plan to make any changes, while Chapel Hill Carborough Schools told me moving forward they are reinforcing social distancing and cashless transactions. Johnston and Cumberland County Schools responded saying they will continue to follow guidance from the state.
Everyone's really doing a good job because ultimately these kids want to be outside, they want to be participating in sports.
And you guys, earlier this afternoon, I was able to confirm through the Robeson County Public School District that Purnell Sweat High School's game next week against Knightdale High School has been canceled because 4 players on Purnell Sweat have tested positive for COVID-19. Live in Raleigh tonight, Nick Sturtevant, CBS 17 News.
Well, that is disappointing, but Nick, thank you for the update. And make sure to join us tomorrow night at 11 for the Friday Night Blitz. Our game of the week is Panther Creek at Leesville Road. We'll have highlights from all the big games right here on CBS 17.
We are hearing about more and more cases and more clusters of COVID-19 in our schools every day, and any student on the traditional calendar has only really been back in the classroom for just a few days. New at 11, Durham Public Schools is already talking about new ways to keep kids safe. CBS 17's Gilat Malamed live for us tonight in Durham, where the board just voted on some changes. Tell us about it.
Outdoor lunch will now be possible for all Durham public schools, something several parents said is really important to them during public comments here. The board is unanimously approving the purchase of 650 picnic tables. The deputy superintendent, Dr. Julius Monk, says each school will receive about 12 tables. Monk says the tables are expected to come in mid-October. One board member asked why they weren't ordered months ago. Monk says that was when they were looking at this back in March. The funding wasn't available. He says they'll use the emergency relief funds to cover the approximately $410,000 purchase. The board is encouraging outdoor eating, but it's not a requirement. Classrooms are also being used for lunch. Parents we spoke with say when it comes to lunchtime, distancing is key.
The longer the lunches is so that they could spread the kids out more. I know that my children have been eating outside for the past couple of days. It'd be great, but I also think that they have to take into consideration the heat and so then provide some shade.
Tents won't be ordered just yet. Monk says the district is still looking for tent contracts and expects to present that to the board in 2 weeks. We also received an update on the air filters in school. They were all replaced and cleaned along with the coils. You might remember that back in the winter, all Durham public schools received MERV 13 filters. Live in Durham, Gilat Malamed, CBS 17 News.
Gilat, thank you very much. And school districts across the triangle are talking about new tactics to combat COVID-19 as cases and clusters start to go up. Wake County is considering requiring everyone to wear face masks indoors and outside as well. That would include recess, athletics, and other extracurricular activities. The school system is also looking at regular COVID-19 testing for all unvaccinated employees, for students, athletes, and some others.
I do hope that these things are implemented fast and that we are not just waiting for a terrible outbreak in a lot of schools and a lot of cases, and then we look back and said, oh, we should have done these things earlier.
And the Wake County School Board will discuss those new COVID protocols at their next meeting on September 7th.
New tonight, the Supreme Court ended the Biden administration's extension of the eviction moratorium. Right now, about 3.5 million people are behind on their rent or mortgage. There are places you can go for help if you need help paying your bills. We have a link to those in our story on CBS17.com. WakeMed and Durham are already doing it.
Yeah, the city of Fayetteville is doing it too. Coming up, where you will have to mask up tomorrow starting at 5 p.m.
And today's high of 93, our 5th day in a row of temperatures in the 90s. And I think I've got 5 more in the forecast before we cool down. But I think you'll like the cool down. It involves a cold front. I'll update you on the timing of that in less than 10 minutes.
To be able to come in because we want to protect our customers, our employees, and our community.
More businesses are on board. Coming up, why Governor Cooper says showing your proof of vaccine is a good thing. You're watching CBS 17 News, covering local news that matters.